So you're tired of your Swiss Army knives and particularly their polymer slick gripped handles? Well, I might have the remedy for you with this Swiza D05 that we're going to be taking a look at today. Well, that's right, folks. That's what we're looking at here. Another Swiss company, but doing some different things and taking kind of a different take and twist on classic Swiss Army designing. So what we have here is a tool that has rubberized polymer handle scales versus the slick ones that you know from Swiss Army. And then they've just kind of done a little bit of different tweaking. We have a locking mechanism on this as well, and some other just cool little features that you're not going to find on most Swiss Army or Victorinox style tools from that company. So we're going to take a look today at what this tool has to offer, show you some of its features, some of its big positives, but a few drawbacks that I'm seeing as well to help you decide between this brand or the classic Swiss Army / Victorinox designs out there. So let's go ahead, break this tool down and see what it has to offer. All right, folks, so here we are. Here's the tool. I'm going to run through some basic specs. We'll break down this whole thing and what is standing out to me, what are drawbacks, positives, negatives, and whether or not it's something I'm going to continue to keep and use or pass on, and whether or not you should do the same. So everything, all the tools you see here is what you get made in Switzerland. It's going to weigh in at 3.8 ounces according to my scale. From my measurements, it's about 0.7 on the thickness of it. There are a lot of color combinations out there. The overall length is 6.7. The closed length is 3.75 inches overall, and it's made with 440 steel. I believe it's 440A steel is what's on the blade, and what all the tools are made out of, not a Sandvik, which is what you're going to find on Swiss Army knives, which obviously these are competing with. So you can see you're going to get a pair of tweezers. It will not come with a toothpick. That will fit inside the body. And then on the back side there, you do have your corkscrew. You can find some models that will have a Phillips head screwdriver. I did not realize that until after I had purchased this. I thought this was the only style that was available. And then, you know, you got all your other tools that we're going to go through, but I just want to kind of show it to you all exposed there. Again, this is the baby blue. They got red, they got orange, I think they got black, they got a couple other color combinations out there. So let's talk about the two main reasons right out of the gate why these intrigue me and why I wanted to pick them up. The main reason being that it does have a locking mechanism, like some Swiss Army knives. A lot of Swiss Army knives do not, but this does have a locking mechanism that does have a little bit of give, but it's pretty solid right there. All you have to do is depress the Swiss symbol there. It moves this little liner lock out of the way, and then you're able to overcome the slip joint feel of it, the detent, and then it collapses. Now it is a two-handed opening, so you do have to use your nail, but this is easier to use because of the full pass-through cut-in versus just the nail nick on a lot of Swiss Armies. Or Victorinox. So it is a little bit easier to deploy, and then it's ready to rock and roll. The locking mechanism does its job. There are no issues there, and it's nice that it does have a locking mechanism. Now it only locks the blade. It does not lock the saw or any other tools. It only will lock the knife, so that's something just to consider and think about. The other aspect that really intrigued me was the polymer that gives. It's basically like a rubber. And I like that versus the kind of cheap polymer feeling of the hard plastic that is on most Swiss Army or Victorinox tools. This has grippy texture. It feels warm. It feels like it's not going to slip out of my hand as much. And that absolutely is true. It absolutely has that. So I like the grippy feel of the tool. You can just see there I wear large size gloves, that it does fit just barely inside of my hand there, but it does fit inside the hand. Now there are no pocket clips and there are no lanyard holds from what I can tell. The benefit to the rubbery texture though is it tends to grip inside your pocket a little bit more than the slick polymer of most Swiss Army knives, so that's a benefit. It'll stay in your pocket a little bit more, but that's kind of it's also a downside because there is no little key loop or anything that I can see. And I would ask if anyone knows, maybe I'm missing it, but I was digging around with this thing for quite a while and did not see any way to attach it to anything. So you're either going to have to put it in a pouch or trust that it's going to hang out in the pocket, or try to modify, you know, something to attach it somehow. So positives and negatives on that point. And I'll be honest with you guys, that's about it for what I like about the tool. There are some drawbacks to the design that I'm not super pumped about. The first is, probably some of you can tell, that the saw blade extends quite far out of the body of the tool, which makes for an actually very uncomfortable grip if you're bearing down on the tool in any way, shape, or form. If you're starting to do any sort of cuts, and I did buy this more as an option possibly for woodworking, hiking, backpacking, camping, obviously with the wood saw, for a quick EDC task of cutting open a package or something, or, you know, just cutting maybe a salami or something, it's not a big deal. But if you're bearing down on it, doing any sort of woodscraft or harder cutting through material, polymers and things like that, you're gonna feel it because of the sharp 90-degree spine and how exposed that saw blade is. It's not an ergonomic feel, and I don't enjoy using it for more than about 30 seconds. Just to show you the difference here, here's a Victorinox that does have a saw in there, but it is almost completely recessed in, and because of that, I don't feel it, and it doesn't create any hot spots when I am using it, particularly in woodscraft environments. The Swiza, I believe, again, is how I'm pronouncing that properly, does. It's not fun to use for more than 30 seconds, which is kind of eliminates the purpose, and particularly the purpose of the saw, and why I bought it, to use it possibly for, you know, small woodworking tasks. The angle is also a little bit goofy in the way that the blade is. It's a weird kind of sweeping, so if I hold it naturally, the blade is diving, and it's just not quite as natural as, say, your average Swiss Army knife and or Leatherman multi-tool. So that is also a downer, as well as the blade itself. Now at 3 inches, it's got a decent reach, so it can do some decent amount of work, both for everyday carry tasks around the town, but also out in the woods with a full flat grind. But the grind angles were not great. It was pretty dull out of the box. The tip is pretty snubbed, so it's not great at piercing packaging and those type of things, so I wasn't super happy about that. The 440A, I believe, the 440 steel, I know it's not 440C to everything I've researched. So the 440A is similar to the Sandvik 1227 that Victorinox uses. I would say they're in the same family. You know, maybe the Victorinox has a little bit, you know, Swiss Army has a little bit better heat treat. I don't know. I mean, it's decent. You are going to have to resharpen it on a pretty regular basis. Most of my Swiss Army blades just come with better grind angles and at least the same quality of steel, and just better precision tips for better piercing if I need to pierce packaging and things like that. All right, guys, next up, the saw. Now about 3 inches. This would be great for doing small notches, for triggers, traps, you know, things like that. Again, woodscraft things that you may be doing, you know, carving. I've gotten into carving recently, you know, things like that. But what I've discovered is that the teeth, though not terrible, my Swiss Army knives and my Leatherman tools with the saws both have just a better teeth layout. These seem to bind up kind of, and it's just not as smooth a cut as my other tools from either Leatherman here in the US or Swiss Army knife seem to be. I don't know why. This one just seems to bind up a little bit, just not give me quite the smooth cut. I have to put more energy into it than my other multi-tools that I own from different companies. So it didn't shine in the saw department. And again, because of the way the handle is designed, I have this exposed blade and other tools really exposed, causing pain, so that while I'm doing that, I'm grabbing on all of my fingers are grabbing metal while I'm trying to do this, and kind of eliminates the comfort and contouring and grippiness of the handle that could have been really nicely done if these tools had either been recessed in more, or if the handle had just been a little bit larger. And again, there is no lock on the saw. Now, I will say that this is one of the better awls that I've ever seen on a multi-tool, so that is a really nice aspect. You got your nice hole there to feed your cloth through, and it actually has a sharpened edge and piercing tip, and I have punched a hole through leather. For one of my belts, it was very easily done. You could actually use it as a small package opener because, again, of the edge on there. So you could, in a pinch, if you wanted to and didn't want to bust out the whole blade, you could use it that way, or it could be used also to throw sparks very well to help with a fire. Again, if this had other features that we've been looking at that worked better, this would be, I think, an awesome outdoor, pocket knife, multi-tool. But as it's performing, I'm discovering that it's less and less capable in that way because of the hot spots, the grinding angles, the saw not being as high performing as some of my other multi-tools. But this all definitely is well designed. Corkscrew is the corkscrew, nothing to write home about. Again, there are options out there, different versions that do have a Phillips head in place of the corkscrew. And I do like the pass-throughs of the nail notches to open it up. It does make it easier to deploy than on Swiss Army knives. And then you have a can opener, small flat head, and a bottle lifter, and a large flat head / light prying, which absolutely get the job done. Nothing to write home about, no real issues. I don't have any complaints with either of them. So there are many different versions, options out there, different sizing. You can get them. I think there are some versions that do have an upgraded steel, I think. I saw a couple of versions that were like $100, and that's what brings us to the price point. But I think those, again, were because of premium materials. This version right here will run you on average about $40. Now, that's pretty competitive with some, Swiss Army tools out there. It's obviously cheaper than a lot of Leatherman tools now that have saws on them and those type of things. And it'll obviously be lighter weight and more compact than a Leatherman tool with pliers on it. But because of, and I was willing to pay either the same or even slightly more for this tool because of the locking mechanism and the grippy rubberized polymer, if the features that we've talked about had worked. But because the really exposed saw when you're using the knife makes it very uncomfortable to use the knife, the other features that have just been hitting on you, the negatives, just have outweighed the positives of this design. And so it's not one that I would go with. I would not throw the $40 down again to purchase this tool. I would go with a Swiss Army knife, or I would go with a Leatherman tool. That is what I would go with. And so I have to say I would not look at this version as a possible good outdoor multi-tool or a competitor to a Swiss Army knife. I just don't see the value to the performance because of the design features. The materials are all fine. It's the designing that has fallen short, in my opinion. Now, I will have links for you guys below, and I will have some options in Swiss Army tools and other multi-tools that I can recommend to you to take a look at over to Blade HQ, GP Knives, Knockaround Sunglass Company. We also have Mystery Ranch, 511, all those places. I would just appreciate it if there are other gear items that you are interested in, that you want to check out, other Swiss Army knives or Leatherman tools or things like that. When you are purchasing gear, to check out the links that we offer to you. We always appreciate that. And I want to give a quick shout out to my PayPal subscribers and supporters. You guys are awesome as well. You help me continue to make content and make videos just like this and show you videos and gear that maybe is not good to steer away from. Because of you guys, it allows me to get out there and purchase stuff like that. And then, point you in a different direction. Well, folks, there you have it. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope it's been informative, maybe for some of you, because I didn't really know about this brand for a long time. Maybe you discovered this brand for the first time, and for others, it's helped you determine whether or not this is something you want to pursue, or if you want to stick with the classic Swiss Army brand and their designing and features. Hope that's what I've been able to do today, is just showing you what the capabilities of this particularly D05 has to offer for you guys. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up today. I invite you to subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. You can check out that other video popping up, and check us out on Facebook and Instagram as well. We're throwing up videos all the time. And always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.